G'day, it's RJ here from the ALiVE dev team, and today I wanted to have a look at another of the new modules from the 0.70 release, which is the Player Resupply module. The Resupply module will allow you to request ammo and vehicles and reinforcements and things like that for your group. So to test this, I've just got a simple test mission set up. With just requires ALiVE, profile system, admin actions, and then I've just got a blue for opcom and some placement modules for the blue for, and we've got a military logistics module. And if you watch the previous tutorial about the military logistics, you have a good idea of how that works. So all we need to do to get the player resupply module working, we must have an opcom for our side and faction, and we must have a military logistics module placed for that opcom, because the military logistics is what actually delivers the supply requests. So then you just need to place the player resupply module. So in ALiVE support, player resupply, there it is there. And like the combat support modules, you just you can select an item which is required to open the interface. So in this case, you can either open it with the laser designated or with the ALiVE tablet. So that's all we need to set up to get the player resupply working. So let's give it a go. So the resupply module will work off the military logistics, the force pool that's available. So as long as you've got some sort of force pool available, and as long as the opcom is holding the location point for where the logistics insertions will occur, you'll be able to request player resupply. So to do that, you just need to bring up the interface, which you do by going through the ALiVE menu and selecting the player resupply. And here you can see the initial player resupply interface. So the first thing you need to do is select the delivery type of your supply request. So you can select an airdrop, which will be parachuted to your location, a heli insertion, or a convoy. So when we select one of these options, the supply list and the reinforcement list gets populated with options. And you can see down here you've got some constraints about what you can request for this type. So you can see with an airdrop you can have 1,000 kilograms of weight, 100 size, you can request up to 3 groups, and you can request up to 3 vehicles and up to 8 individual units. And you can see that that will change if you select a different option. So a heli insertion will be less weight and less things overall, and the convoy will give you the most weight, the most groups, vehicles, etc. So for the first one, let's just try an airdrop. So I can select the point on the map where I want the airdrop to occur. So I can just say here, I can say that it is the marker for the airdrop. So now I need to work out a payload of what I actually want. So you can see there's a supply list. These are things I can select. Defense stores, so I can request static weapons, or I can request base building things, H barriers and bag fences and all that sort of stuff, bunkers. I can request combat supplies. I can all the different ammo crates and things like that, so I can get ammo resupply. Or I can request vehicles. So the vehicles will be empty vehicles. I can request any sort of car for an airdrop, and I can request various boats with an airdrop. One other thing to note is that these options will change depending on the delivery type. So if I selected a heli insertion, you can see that I only got the option to request air units. And if I select the convoy, you can see I can have card and armoured vehicles. Let's just go back to airdrop for now. I've just got to replace my marker because I changed the delivery type. So I'll just request a hunter, which will be empty. And I might request some static weapons. And maybe a special weapons box. So you can see there that my weight is almost at capacity. I've got one of 3 vehicles. Now I might want to select some individuals or groups to reinforce. So maybe I'd like to select a group, maybe a rifle squad group. Now once these are selected, you can click on options in the payload list. So I can click on the hunter. I can see that it's an empty vehicle and I can delete it from my payload if I want. You can see there's a defense object, combat supply, and when I click on my rifle squad, because that's a part of the reinforcements, that gives me additional options about what I want to happen when that rifle squad has been delivered. So I can request that it joins my player group. I can request that it goes into static defense, which means that it will, if I'm in like a military base or something like that, the units will spread out and man static weapons and generally go into a defensive posture. Or I can just select if I want it to reinforce, and that means that it just is released to Opcom to do whatever Opcom wants with it. So for this one, I'll ask that the rifle squad is going to join my player group, and that's about all I need for this first request. So then I just need to send the request, and you can see there'll be some radio chatter, and the commander will let us know whether we're allowed to request this. That might be denied based on the force pool, or if there's nowhere for the request to be inserted. In that case, you might have to go and liberate the airfield or whatever, or wherever your request is going to be. So now we can see that the cargo lift's in flight. Now this part of the interface will just keep you updated on the status. I can close this at any time, and then if I bring the interface back up again, it'll go back into that position until my request has been finished. So I can see that the items that I've requested are now paradropped into my location. So here's the empty hunter that I requested. Here's my payload container that contains the static weapons and the ammo boxes. And you can see that now that the rifle squad has landed, they've joined to my group. The payload objects are all going to be inside this box, and if you watch the player logistics tutorial, to access them I just need to enable my logistics actions, and then I'll have the option to load out my cargo. So I can see there's my special weapons box, and here are there's my mortar that I requested. There's my heavy machine gun. So once my request has been fulfilled, I'll now be able to make another request, so I can bring up the interface again. And you can see that it's returned to the request state. So now how about we request a convoy. we'll pick our convoy location. So we can, maybe I want to drive a slammer, so that'll be delivered and the crew will get out, allowing me to take it. Now, because you've got a lot more weight, you can fit in things like base building supplies, so maybe some H barriers. And maybe a small bunker. And I might get some, with a convoy you get a lot more options also with the groups, so I can select a group of, say, tanks and maybe a motorized team and maybe a mechanized team. And maybe I just want another rifle squad. So I'll just leave all these ones just to reinforce, so that Opcom will take over when they arrive, and then I can send my request. So I can see on the map here that the insertion has happened at the airfield, and these are all my requested units, and they're now heading to our convoy destination. You can see all the waypoints here on this nearby road. Okay, so my vehicles in the convoy are now arriving. We've got our mechanized motorized teams, and now our reinforcement rifle squad being taken by the transport vehicle. And this will be our logistics items. And now our tanks are rolling up. Once all the vehicles have made it to the destination, they will unload their reinforcement troops. The transport vehicle will return to the insertion point, and the cargo vehicle will allow us to unload it. It will wait for between 2 and 5 minutes, and after that point it will also head back to the insertion point. And because the rest of these vehicles are all set to reinforce, they'll be released to Opcom at the same time. So now the transport vehicle will return to the insertion point, and I will be allowed to unload my cargo vehicle. So I'll load out my cargo. And there's some of my barriers and my bunker. So there you have it, Player Resupply, where you can request logistics, weapons and vehicles for your player group, which should make it a lot more interesting on the battlefield when you need to keep your logistics lines open from your insertion point, and generally managing all these resources.